Does it matter? All of them are live, right? All right. Welcome back in to the Young Man and the Three. We got the unforgettable Tommy Alter here and our special guest, Donte DiVincenzo. Yes. Donte, welcome to the pod, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
No, before we get to Donte, because obviously this is about me in some respects, my debut back into podcasting might be short-lived. It might be a one-time thing. It might extend longer. We'll see. But I will say it feels good to be back and couldn't have better company. But we're in beautiful Minnesota here. What's the transition been like?
It's been very smooth. It's very easy to transition when you go from, a good organization to a team that was in, the Western Conference Finals. Just the way everything's run, the people, that make it seamless. You're not going to an organization that's rebuilding or doesn't have an identity. So you just come in and be yourself and they take care of everything else.
Yeah, that's obviously on the basketball front, and we'll talk a lot about that. I want to hear a little behind the scenes. I mean, trades happening that close to the start of a season, right? Obviously, you have deadline stuff, you have summer stuff in July, but they're kind of an anomaly. They don't happen as often. Yeah. And, you're ramping up. I know you got a little one. I know you got a family. So all of a sudden you're thrown into a new city just prior to, a new season. So you have the basketball adjustment, but you have the life adjustment as well.
Yeah. I mean, you said it. I think last year you saw Drew and Dame go through that trade. And I think this trade happened like the same day, a year later. Obviously, no one, you don't expect it at that time. Obviously, everything's kind of like around free agency or around the deadline. So, you're just getting ready for the season. And like you said, family settling in. Everybody's kind of planning what trips they're going on and when their family coming to games. And then, boom, it happens. I think the toughest thing for us was, when I came out here, when the trade was official, we left like the day after or something, go to Palm Springs. So like I had my family come out here and I was like, hey, I'm leaving tomorrow. So they're like, wait, you're dropping us in Minnesota, like unfamiliar with everything. And then you're just bouncing for a week. So that's the hardest thing that people don't understand about the NBA.
What did you think when you heard about the trade?
I was super surprised, man. Donte and I have the same agent, so I was doing a little behind the scenes of like, it was like, was this expected? Was there like steam building? Like what was going on? I think it caught a lot of people by surprise. Obviously, you. But I think it's also such a unique deal because both teams had such success last year.
Yeah.
And nowadays, and even dating back more than just, the recent NBA, but there's this propensity to want to run things back. And hey, we had a great crack. You guys had injuries in New York. Hey, let's give it another go with this group. You have this chemistry. You guys are doing GQ shoots with the Villanova boys, like the whole thing, right?
How about
like
the timing of that being released?
The whole thing. So then all of a sudden it's like, you have something that's special in the NBA, which I found is hard to come by, which is like real camaraderie and like the shit that has nothing to do with basketball. That always translates to basketball. So to throw a wrinkle into that is a risk, right? And that cuts both ways. Obviously, what Minnesota had as well. But I think that also, it's going to take time on both sides, to feel it out and grow. But obviously, you've experienced success right away as a group and then also individually. So for you, I mean, the way you've been playing the last couple of years and trending the way you have, I think it's a great opportunity, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, you guys being in Miami, going to the finals and everything, like that same group, when you have the same group together, where, where you're going to be on certain plays. Right. It's kind of like second nature. We were just talking, my fiance and I were talking, like, this is the fourth straight year to start training camp with 4 different teams.
It's crazy.
So
how's she handling it?
She's handling it. I mean, I think, having a baby is, that's what we focus on. Basketball's going to take care of itself. And, enjoying coming to the games and doing everything like that is one thing, but focusing on the baby and, watching him grow and all those, the life moments with that's the fun part of it. We can be anywhere. It's going to be the same, but,
With this Minnesota team, these guys had interest in you, obviously, before you ended up in New York. Can you walk the audience through how close that got?
Yeah, I mean, it got super close. I mean, it was, down to a couple teams with, Minnesota being up at the top of my list as well as New York. I mean, obviously you look at, having an injury I had before and, money factor, and you never know with this league. So, just comes down to security for my family and knowing I had a little one on the way. And, obviously playing with, college teammates obviously makes it intriguing, but I think what made it the most intriguing is having family. Hour and a half train ride, they can come to every game. So I think that was the biggest selling point for me. But I couldn't, I told you guys before, like, you think about all the trade situations. I've been traded before. So like, I couldn't ask for a better trade situation to go to.
Right.
You're going to a team that is a contender. You're going to a team that you were looking at in free agency, and you're going to a team that has a stud that is young and
it's going crazy right now.
You know what I mean? Just going bonkers. And like the energy that he gives to the organization is, you see it from the outside, but like when you're here, he makes coming to work every day just so enjoyable. And that's, something that is very, very, very fun.
Yeah, I mean, he's got this like infectious personality. I mean, it's obviously with like the starting five stuff. I think some people saw a little even more behind the scenes into that. You played, the last several years, you played with some big time guards, and obviously Ant's not like, I mean, he's an on the ball guard, right? He's not Steph and he's not Jalen in terms of like true point guards or whatever. But what do you see? Like when I look at Jalen and the way he approaches his game, his motor, how he attacks, but he also has his temperament where like, obviously he's got his, with all his shit, he does his thing, but like he's so like stoic in how he goes about his business. And then you see the other side of that in Ant, which is like, they're both, the motor is crazy. And that's the thing that jumps out the page to me or the screen when you're watching them. But what are the similarities and differences in how they just handle their business, how they lead, how they, just be the best player on championship contending teams?
I think you see how much fun Ant has. And it's just like, he just loves playing basketball. The dude just wants to do everything basketball. But when it's time to lock in, like you just see this, like this switch. And obviously it's early in the year, but like, dude comes in just locked in, ready to go. And he has his moments when he has fun and you can see him pointing at people and doing this. But it's, it's a different approach to the same goal. I think everybody is different. I don't think, if I had the same approach as Ant or Jalen, I don't think I'd be as successful as I am right now. Same with you. I think you have your routines, you have your way to approach the day. But the similarities is like, when the lights come on, like, those dudes are going to go to work. It doesn't matter who you're playing, bottom of the league, top of the league, does not matter. I think he sees every team with a target on their back and just wants to attack them.
You knew how good he was coming in, but has the shooting surprised you a little bit so far?
We were actually just talking about this. Is like, last year was a lot of, Jalen creating and getting me a lot of, catch and shoot threes. And early on is like, I'm like, man, if you're letting them fly, I will gladly drive and kick with you. Like the roles can be reversed. I'm cool with it. But yeah, I think our whole team is doing an amazing job of just getting other guys looks. And I think we're very deep. Our team is very deep, a lot of firepower. And when we play the right way and we're swinging that ball, like you see Ant come up with, I think 9 threes the other day. Like it's just absurd to watch his growth.
I was going to ask about Rudy. Playing defense with him, because it feels like, he's a guy that takes a lot of shit. He's been on the show. He's talked about that before. He takes a lot of shit, but his impact is undeniable. Being his teammate versus playing against him, what you've noticed?
You don't know Rudy until you play with him. Like Rudy, is the anchor of our defense, and a lot of stuff revolves around Rudy. But to your point about the approach, like Rudy's approach is unmatched, like daily, to his body, to getting ready for a game. So it's really cool to see that. And then, being on the court with him, you don't realize how big he is. Like I threw a couple lobs to him already in early in the season. I'm like, there's no way he's going to catch it, and goes and brings it down. So it's just little things about feeling him out. Just knowing little things that he likes, how to make the game easy for him. Because if you make it easy for him, he's going to make it easy for you on the defensive end. So it's just little things.
You mentioned Ant's approach to shooting threes. Obviously we've been competing against each other for a while. We had this series, Heat Bucks back when you were in Milwaukee. Something happened last year, and I don't know what happened, but the guardrails came off in terms of you letting that thing fly.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was you played with Steph and saw what it was to let it go. I don't know if it was Tibbs in your ear saying let that motherfucker go, or if it was like you internally, what. And it probably maybe wasn't a moment, but maybe it was. Like, did you just decide, like, all right, I'm going to just get this thing up?
I think, like, you look at early on in the year, it was a struggle. Like, going into a new team, new situation. They had guys that were in, positions I was in that had success the year before. So, like, if you look at the minutes played to start the year and, role and stuff like that, it wasn't ideal for what I was expecting coming in. So I just had to adjust. And once guys kind of started either going down or got my opportunity, a big person for me was Julius. If you look at like early on when I started to play more and start, Julius would find me, and it would get easy ones. And then, when you get easy ones, that basket gets bigger. I mean, you've had 300 plus threes in how many seasons? Like,
I'm not sure. I don't think I ever had 300, but
you've had close. I trust me. I know the Heat's record. Trust me. I know. Don't forget we had the same agent, bro. Don't forget that.
300 is crazy, but I respect it. Thank you.
Honestly, like last year towards the end of the year, I was like, I think that's doable. Like, that's how big.
You were high 200s, right?
It was like I'm not gonna lie, 283. Yeah, I know exactly.
What was the stretch where you just started was it January?
It was like January.
Like you just went nuts.
That was like, I think that's when around Julius went down. I think when Julius went down, everything kind of shifted in our team and our, dynamic. And it really became like, all right, you have to be aggressive. And then once that was in my head, it clicked, like, you have to be aggressive. Just everything else kind of slowed down. Like, making the right play slowed down. You weren't thinking like, all right, if I get in here, do I have to score? Do I have to pass? Do I do this? My first thought was, man, pass it to the rim. And when that happened, like, they take that away. Man. They take it away. Then you find the easy pass, you find the lob, you find the skip pass. But confidence is a hell of a thing. I'll tell you, there was games where I would start 0 for 7, and I'm like, man, don't worry, I'll finish 7 for 14.
I was going to ask you, because I haven't asked you about this since it happened. I wanted to ask you, not to skip ahead, but in the Pacers series, and when I saw you in Indy, I think it was game 3, the one where you went nuts.
Yeah,
like, that's an example of a game where, like, everyone's hurt.
Yeah,
the whole team is either not playing or banged up, and you're basically just like, it's a playoff series, and I'm putting this thing on my back.
Yeah.
That just comes from what was established in January, right? This is just confidence.
Yeah. I mean, I hate the whole notion of like, there's no one else to do it, so like, guys step up. Like, I get it, but at the same time, it's like, you don't realize how talented guys are in the NBA. And you don't realize how much work guys put in the NBA. Like, as soon as you get that opportunity and you're confident and you take advantage of it, that's the step of like, you see what Jalen did when he was in Dallas, started early, and then all of a sudden he went to New York, and now everybody's like, look at Jalen Brunson. Well, he had this in Dallas.
Yeah.
He was the exact same player. So I think that's the thing that, once you get that opportunity, I tell all the young guys, like, take full advantage. Don't, because you don't start out in the NBA, start the season, and just like get everything you want. It's a long haul for sure.
I always tell people that there's like usually maybe 2 people on every team that actually have the role that they want.
Yeah.
And everybody else is like jockeying, struggling to kind of like find their way in their lane. And when you find it and you have a moment or a stretch, you got to press it. You got to,
and when you press it, now you're labeled as that.
Exactly.
So like, once you get to that level, you're like, all right, I'm here. Now I got to maintain this. Like,
yes.
And it's so, everybody thinks like, oh, it must be nice to be that guy. He gets to do whatever he wants. You know how much responsibility some of these guys have?
Yeah.
It's nuts. Sure. Like, I don't want certain responsibilities that Ant has. Like,
did you feel like earlier in your career you at any point where you were approaching this and then something, you got hurt, something changed where, you fell off?
That championship year in Milwaukee kind of changed my, entire career. Is, slowly progressing each year. And, I'm starting on what was the championship team, and confidence is all-time high, and you kind of are feeling yourself, and then boom, you get hurt and you just get knocked all the way down. I go from getting hurt to, they get different guys in my position, they trade for a few guys, and then all of a sudden, like, you don't get the extension and you get traded. It's like, wait, hold on, reset. And that's why I went to Golden State. I took that year to kind of rebalance and, revive what I thought I could be. And I don't think I could have went to a better place to do that. Playing with those dudes just completely changed my mindset of basketball.
What is it about Golden State? Because you're a recent example of it, but they have a handful of guys who've gone there, had great years, gone on, signed longer deals, extended their careers, whatever it is. What is it about culture, whatever, the organization, Steph, that really stuck out to you in the whatever 10 months that you spent there?
I don't think there's like this secret recipe they're doing, but like just the style of play they have is makes a lot of guys successful. I mean, not to differ from, Golden State, but like Miami, you guys see what you guys do. You see a lot of guys come in undrafted or two ways, and next thing you know, they're signing long-term deals, and you build within, and that's amazing. I think there's certain organizations that you can just go to and play a certain style that make guys look really good, and I think Golden State's that. Like, if you can flourish in that kind of chaos of what they do, I got so many open looks that I never thought I would get. And then you play with certain guys like Draymond you'll think I'm not open, and Draymond will put it right on the money. So you just had to go in and say, all right, cool, let me just run around and play defense, and on offense, just literally just run around that crazy and shoot the ball. And you look really good doing it.
As a shooter, what'd you learn from Steph?
His approach. Just the way he came, ready to work every single day, and the amount of shots he took and detail. And there was never a day off for that guy. You would think he's day off, but he's somewhere else working or doing something on his body. Or like I said, that year really changed everything about how I approach practice.
Yeah, people talk a lot about, obviously in Miami specifically, like culture, and Golden State, I think, is another team that, when people think about having good culture and stability, they think about Golden State. The more I've been around the league, the more I've found that really culture is just an extension of who your best player is, or players, right? Like, the best players are dictating the day-to-day, how people handle their business. If your best players aren't taking days off, if your best players are super locked into a regimen or routine, if you're a role player, if you're not playing, how can you show up and not be locked into that same extent, or even more so? So I have so much respect for that organization. And then Steph, obviously, specifically, is the greatest shooter ever to play the game, but also just the longevity and how he's done it. And he seems over himself. Like, it's not really about him, even though he's completely changed the way we all think about and play basketball. So I just got to imagine, like, being around that every day. Just obviously you take things and you visibly see things, but just like osmosis of like the way he works and little habits and just things you pick up probably like automatically.
Well, like, also to your point about the best player, but it's also like the accountability of a lot of guys that within these organizations either played there or have been around that coach in years prior. And you go to, like, when Golden State, like Sean Livingston was out there. Like, he was, in the front office at the time, but like he was a huge voice for a lot of us. And you had Andre Iguodala, like, Andre was still playing, but Andre's old ass was still, he was a coach at that point.
Chilling, doing his thing.
But like,
Andre's a legend though.
He's a legend. He was the voice. Like, and like, you go to Miami, you have guys that, were played, that are on the coaching staff, that hold everybody accountable. And they hold even the best players accountable. So when you see that and they're like, hold on, Steph's getting, cuss that and curse that and coached a certain way. Like, who am I to think that I should have an attitude the way, if they say something to me?
Did you notice similar traits and in your multiple situations in Miami in terms of the role guys and the younger guys coming up, in terms of taking lessons and like what they had in common to be able to buy into this culture?
I would say Miami does a really good job of, obviously they see something from a talent standpoint, but I think they do their work in terms of like the approach and the mentality.
Yeah.
They're trying to get people in the door that are going to be appreciative of an opportunity and try to take advantage of it. And, similar to like you said, there's no secret sauce. Like I think Miami's biggest distinguishing factor is like they're going to make sure every single day is maximized. If you're not in a rotation, you are going to drill this pick and roll, 25, whatever, like over and over. You're going to get all these shots that if you do need to play 5 to 10 minutes on a given night, all those situations and roles you'll be in have been repped out to the max in practice.
And dudes, like young guys that come in, like we haven't been in the league that long, but like from my rookie year to now, I think a lot has changed. And I think like the expectation of where you get drafted at what number, and like, I think I'm better than so-and-so. Like, I think that's higher now than it was, because the league's so much younger now. Like coming in, like I had guys like Marvin Williams join, Pau Gasol joined the Bucks. Like I had dudes that were on the team for a while. Like
those ring chasers, man. Like, you had a handful of them.
Like, or you just learn from them. Like, and I was playing, don't get me wrong, but like everybody wants to play more. But there's a process, I think, in NBA that people, may get, you may try to jump steps. And that's where you see, certain teams that have that established culture don't let you skip those steps.
This is the question I have. We used to talk about this with JJ a lot, with just vets in general. And we would try to go down the list of like championship teams in the last 20 years and find one that didn't have multiple vets who basically were, whether they were.
I don't think you can.
And I'm just kind of like, why doesn't every team get this?
Yeah.
Why did it change? Why is this change happening when you just see who's actually winning?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're sort of going through this right now. There's like such a thin line between winning and losing. And if you're a good team, you learn how to win. Like learning how to win is a skill. And the same way bad teams find a way to lose. Like there are bad teams that have been bad year in and year out. And a lot of it's because that game's, they might be up 4, they might be tied with 3-4 minutes to go. They're going to find a way to lose that game. And and the flip side of that is you find guys that just understand those little moments in between. And I think the only way you really learn that is through years of, honestly, it's a lot of heartbreak. It's a lot of setbacks.
Trial and error.
It's a lot of, exactly. It's failure. It's setbacks. I think like, honestly, OKC this year will be an amazing sort of like test to that, because I don't know that they have enough like, I mean, they're amazing the way they're playing right now. I don't know that they have enough like pain, like true pain.
Yeah.
I know media talks about that.
They're having fun.
Yeah. and like that's the flip side of that. I'm not like hating on them saying that they can't win a championship, but that's always been the narrative of like, you have to go through pain in order to actually get over the hump. So they're having fun though. That's the difference.
And
like, that's the flip side.
You see a lot of like to your point about the vets, like you go down the line is like the vets don't let you have too much fun. Because they find that balance of like, all right, let's knock it down a little bit. And also they pick you up. Like they've seen everything. Like I think there's so many guys that you like, there's certain names that that are on certain teams that when you play them, you're like, he's coaching them and telling them exactly what I'm doing or whatever, how to approach this. And there's a few guys in the league that you just know that are always going to be on that sideline.
I'm assuming Mike is on the list for you guys now. Are there other guys in the team?
Joe.
Yeah.
Old ass Joe Ingles. I love that guy.
I love Joe.
But yeah, he is not like, I will say about this team is it is so cool to see is there is not one person with an ego or anything or takes anything to heart. Call it out straight to how it is, put names on it, address it, and move forward. There's no back and forth. There's no nothing. It's if I saw something, say it. I hear you, I understand you. Let's get better and keep it moving.
Yeah,
which is not the norm in the NBA.
Yeah,
at least I don't think so.
I mean, the NBA is a crazy world because it's this delicate balance of like we all have ego, right? So we're all super ambitious. We're all confident. We all have we're bringing our own things to the table, and we all have our sights set on something more. And I mean, that's the beauty of team sports is like, how do you find a way to check that? How do you find a way? And I think that kind of ties in with the pain thing, is that when you go through losing enough or you go through enough challenging times, it's like, all right, this isn't working. I got to figure out what can I bring differently and how can I bring it? And you guys have an amazing blend. Like, I always think of it as a blend. You want this blend between like youthful excitement, guys that are ambitious, going after shit. And then you want that blend of like true, real vets. Like Julius Randle's a vet in the NBA. Like Rudy Gobert's a vet. Joe, Mike, like those guys have been through it. They've seen all sorts of things. So having that blend can create this like perfect synergy and ultimately lead you to where everyone's trying to go.
And like you're saying, like, that pain is like, you're like from the team aspect. Yeah. But like, you have to get guys that have been through that individually.
That's
like,
right, yeah.
Like I said about, for me, like I saw what didn't work. I got bounced from this team. I had to do this. I had to reset here. I just got bounced again from one team. Like Julius, the same thing. Mike has played for 3 different teams. Like there's guys that have an understanding, like, all right, tonight I might play 20. I don't have it going tonight. I understand it. Donte's playing well or Mike's playing well, Nikhil's playing well. Like, we just want to win.
Yeah.
And I think that's, right now is fun because you don't know if you're finishing the game or not. And it really doesn't matter because if you have guys that are able to put their ego aside, which is very hard, it's very hard. It makes winning, more fun.
When you guys are in the middle of one of these, I mean, I'll give you 2 specific examples. The Philly series going into Indy last year, where it's like you're just on an emotional run. Mm-hmm. You're on a journey. And I think your guys, the finals run the whole time was sort of like a version of this, where it almost just feels like an extended heater. In real time, are you feeling that? Or does it just feel normal? And the outside world is like, because I saw him in Denver, like, how the fuck did you guys get here? And you're just like, we're just playing.
Yeah, man. The weird thing about some of those runs is like, I mean, you talked about confidence earlier, individual confidence. You feel when you have confidence as a group, and it doesn't matter the circumstance of a game. They might go on a run, up 15 in the first quarter. It's like, you've built this resolve, and it almost gets to this point where like, you just don't think it's possible for you to lose.
And that's kind of how we felt last year. Like, you see so many people, in the media and outside the actual locker room say, they're, like you said, they're on cloud 9, they're on a heater. Like, people discredit, what Indiana did last year and, kind of took shots at us of being hurt and everything. But you have to give those guys credit. Like, they came in and went all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. Sure. Like, they were hooping. And it wasn't just like, on a high and everything went in and this and that. They were attention to detail. They knew how to exploit things, and the playoffs is a different game, and they were able to be successful. But I think it started with us with Tibbs. Like, when you have a head coach that really believes that no matter who you put out there, you are going to win and you're going to play the right way, you go into the game like, all right, I'm locked in. Like, no one can beat us. Like you said, like, I don't think we can lose tonight. And that's how we felt in the Philly series.
It's a random tangent, but like, what's your mentality going into a game where you're playing 46? Like, you might not come out.
But like, everybody says this is so much fun. Like, when you hoop, you want to hoop. You want to be out there all right, what Josh Hart was doing, and I don't know about all that. Like,
he went like 5 games without checking out or something, right?
Yeah, Josh is nuts, and he'll still complain about something. Like, if he came out and be like, "Damn, why the hell did I come out for 30 seconds?" And but like, nah, it wasn't that. Like, you just go in like, all right, let's win. And Tibbs, you trust in whatever his decision is, and we were winning. Like, you can't knock it. Like, we were winning, and I think you get to the point where, like, after the season, I actually felt my body felt really good after last year. Like, it wasn't at the end of the year I was like, damn, I ain't got nothing left. Like, I know a lot of guys got hurt and everything, but me personally, afterwards, I was like, damn, we were 1 game away from.
You also emptied the clip in Game 7.
I was ready to go to Boston because I think that last game is when Jalen got hurt. So if we would have won that game, Oh, I would have went through hell with Drew and Derek.
Him and Alec Burks, they almost did.
Yeah, me and AB would have went through hell the next series.
You say something interesting about like after the season, the way you felt.
Mm-hmm.
I've obviously, my minutes have fluctuated in different seasons, right? And now I'm at this place where I'm not playing as much. Like I used to play 30, 35 and, I was playing 82 games, the whole thing. You actually build up a tolerance for the load. Like everyone talks about load management and, sit this guy out. And I'm not like knocking that, but there is a downside to that in that you're not building the actual resistance to withstand that. So when you get to a point in the season, like playoffs are a physical grind. You're not playing back-to-backs, but you're playing every other, mostly, unless you're traveling in between. And if you haven't built up that tolerance to extend your minutes to 40 or whatever, if you're a starter, then all of a sudden you're doing it for the first time, your body's feeling different. Like it's so you guys, it's funny. I know you guys did have injuries, but you guys could like tolerate it as much as anybody.
Well, that's the thing is like early on, my body actually felt worse in terms of soreness and this and that. Cause like everybody's like, Donte, you played, what you just said, you played X amount of minutes, but like early on in the season, I wasn't playing. Like I wasn't playing a lot. So like it evened out at the end of the year. But throughout the year, you just build up a tolerance. And at the end of the year, you're like Tibbs gets this rap of practice. But bro, we were playing, day off, playing, come in, watch film, playing. Like there's only so much you can do. Like I will say, like he tries to get the most out of every single day, but it's not running up and down and then go play for it. If we were doing that, I wouldn't been able. There's no way you can.
What's your like favorite recovery regimen? I'm trying to steal something right now. So
to be honest with you, I kind of go in on every off day. I'm a big kind of cold tub guy. I'm a big I like to just get the body moving for a little bit. I go in and get some shots up, and it really changed last year. I think with having the success that I was having, it kind of changed stuff for me. Even when I was, I'll go to a game and like I said, I'm getting 10 up and I might go 0 for 10, but there's 10 going up. And I was still going the next day, shoot my shots, get in the cold tub, get my body work, and then go home and chill with the fam. But there was no secret. I just like going in.
On the energy front, and I'm curious your perspective on this because I would see this going to games with Matt a lot last year with him, is when you're playing well, you are emotional. Like
you're not tired.
Like you're fucking yelling.
When you look up,
he's yelling.
35.
He's yelling.
No time to be tired.
He's yelling. He's fighting. He's yelling at the crowd at the same time. But my question is like, does that ever zap? Like, do you want to not be too high or too low, or is it something where like adrenaline takes over and that's helpful for you? And then for you, are you more like, if I like get too emotional, it's going to throw me off? Because you're just a much more even-keeled person, I feel like.
Yeah.
He's the same. Like, I feel like every time I've seen or played against Dunk is like, he's just the same every.
Yeah. What's interesting this year is that because I'm checking in at different times, I'm playing a little bit less here and there. Like I've actually found that I needed to kind of like motivate myself by just like honestly talking, like chatting, like talking shit from the bench, talking shit to my teammates, coaches, whatever, like just to kind of get me going. It's so different. Right. When I was playing, when I knew I was walking in, I was playing 30 a night, like you kind of know, you almost have to conserve some of that because you're like, all right, I know I'm going to get to my 10 eventually because I'm playing 30. Now it's like, it's a little bit of a new challenge, right? And I've had to kind of wrestle with that the last couple of years. Obviously when injuries have happened, I've extended my opportunity or whatever, but finding that balance has been like a fun challenge. But I've seen, you talk shit like sneaky,
sneaky,
but you don't
usually it's usually to like my guys. Like if I know you or whatever, it's to somebody I respect, like playful talking shit, like JJ in Indiana. Like, oh, you talking shit to JJ? I'm like, I'm not really talking shit to JJ. I'm not dumb. Like, but there's a balance for me of like last year, Jalen, like you said, Jalen was so locked in. Josh was fucking crazy. And then me, I was like either crazy or not crazy.
Versatile.
You come here and it's like, I can't be the wild one. I got I got 5 next to me going crazy. So it's like balance of like how to know when to let my personality come out and show and feed off that emotion, because sometimes I get too in my head of too like try to be this, try to be the leader. I'm like, man, just go hoop. Like I'm at my best when I'm not thinking about good shot, bad shot, wrong play, right? It doesn't matter to me what I'll watch the film and learn from it, but like I'm at my best when I'm having fun and just talking the entire game, whether it's to my teammates or whoever. I just need to like, when I'm quiet, that's how you know it's like
something's off.
Yeah.
I've tried to. Were you talking at game 2 of the finals when you had that run yourself?
But
I felt like you were even quiet then.
when I
talk,
I don't like talk shit at a person. I honestly like I'll say some shit about myself, or there's a couple people on our staff that I'll like go after, like just on some like.
You got Jimmy though. Jimmy does it for you.
Yeah,
he'll hype you up from
wherever. True. Yeah, I mean we have like, because Tyler will talk a lot too. Bam's like very even keel, kind of just steady is what he is. But I'll talk more in moments where I feel like I need to kind of like ignite some energy. Like you actually said it. The moment I, as a player, am in my own head and I'm not talking, I start to, I think, I overthink. And so much of basketball, like the players that I admire and respect the most are the ones that play with like true freedom. And like they're not overthinking a mistake, they're not overthinking shot selection. They're being who they are and they're playing, true to who they are. And when I've been my best, I know I've been that. And it's hard when, obviously, it's easier to play free when you have quote unquote longer leash, right? But it doesn't mean that in limited opportunities or moments that you can't still find that. And that's been the challenge for me, which I've gotten better at, right? Like I'd started for so long that like coming off the bench was like, oh man, this is like, I don't have rhythm.
But the free part is like, it's more mental. It's like that dead space of when you're not, like when you're talking through the game, there's like, your brain doesn't allow you to think like, man, I'm probably coming out after this. Right. You look up like, damn, I'm about to check out after this timeout. Like it doesn't let you, I got to make this shot. Like when you're just playing free, that's when everybody plays the best. In my opinion, that's when everybody plays the best. You look at, and there's so much talent in the NBA. You'll see dudes that don't play at all and checking in the fourth and end up with,
Game 2 of the Philly series, the shot.
Yeah.
The shot.
What's going?
Wow, it's getting tapped. The shot.
Bang. Shout out Mike Green.
The shot. What's going through your head?
It's like the second round of the playoffs. We're talking about the shot.
First round of the
playoffs. First round. What was going through my head was New York's gonna fucking kill me if I miss 2 in a row. Yeah. Like I missed that, and the first one. I think you can like, if you watch the video, like I'm like, my hands are like, give me the ball. Because all I wanted was a second opportunity because I knew I was going to make the second one. But shout out to Isaiah because he went up and, he went and grabbed it. And it was, we went to the timeout afterwards and the floor was shaking. Like, I swear to God, the floor was shaking. And it was something that like, we national championship, college, whatever, Bucks championship, like it,
yo, chill out, man. We're talking about national championship.
Man. But the floor was shaking, and that was like something that when you did in the Garden, it was like Nat sent me a video, and he was going crazy, and like I watched the video every now and then just to see like the reaction. That shit was insane.
I was with him. We were with your family, and just I think part of it was all the Knicks fans. Everyone thought it was over.
Everyone
thought it was over. Like it wasn't really a good game. It wasn't like it was going back and forth and then he hit a buzzer beater. It was like they were pretty bad the whole game.
And then we hit a 3. Jalen hit a 3. We got the steal. A steal. Some people say foul.
That's all right. That's foul.
Hey man, it's only foul if they call it. And then we got the 3, and it was that shit was nuts in there.
Yeah, that's MSG when it's rocking is
fun.
Is different.
Everybody loves playing there.
100%. I will say this though, like vibe, energy, ambiance, the best. The rims are tight though. I think.
Shit, not for me last year.
I swear, bro. Those things are old. They rattle around. I'm like, damn. And I've had some good shooting games in MSG, but man, I feel like sometimes I have more in and outs in MSG than any other.
Obviously you're going to say Miami, but like what's your favorite arena?
Favorite, I would say, honestly, I love playing in Golden State. I understand why Steph and Clay making all those.
In old and new.
I was on the team when we played in Oracle, but I didn't.
I played there once.
That shit was loud too.
Yeah.
The floor was slippery.
Yeah.
In terms of straight rims, though, Chicago's got some soft rims.
I hate Chicago.
Really?
I hate playing in Chicago. Another one I hate playing in is, I forget which one. It's either Dallas or Houston, where they have the mics on the back of the rim.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Dallas.
You clank
Dallas
one, it's like,
does.
boom. You're like, damn, it was that bad?
Yeah, they turn it up some games too. Yeah, for sure.
But then when they make it, they turn it all the way up on the switch.
Swish. Like, goddamn.
Do you have a favorite?
I love playing in Philly. Philly's just because
Philly's
close to home. It's obviously the Garden. You played there, at home, so it was a different vibe. But playing in Philly is always, I think it's always fun playing there.
You guys played college games there, right?
Yeah, so that last year, 18, we played every game there because we were getting a new remodel of the gym, which I haven't been able to see a game there yet.
Can we talk about the national championship?
Y'all had a squad. Y'all had a good team.
He's saying we had a squad. First off, I had 0 points in the national championship. I'm going to get out in front of that. I did something very impressive in my mind. I truly have blacked that game out from its existence. I literally, like 2 weeks ago, randomly, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back and watch the highlights from that game. I did not recall the one play I did recall was your block on Charles. Everything else, I was like, I do remember that.
I thought I was getting punched on.
Everything else, I have blacked out from my mind. Do not recall in any capacity, other than him going crazy, which obviously he did. But get the fuck out of here. We're saying we had a squad. You guys had like five NBA players.
There's a lot of NBA players in that game.
Was Jordan on that team?
He was. He was a freshman, though.
Doesn't matter. He was on that team.
He was a freshman.
And he was on that team. You, Mo, Charles.
Charles was good.
Xavier.
Xavier was tough. Man, he's one of my favorite teammates I've ever had.
Muhammad,
he was tough.
You guys had a lot of talent, bro.
We were playing well at the right time, which is what college basketball is. I mean, we won like 17 in a row.
We were good.
What was the scout on him before the game?
You know what's crazy? And I love Coach Beeline. But he would always do this thing where he would, because you came off the bench.
Yeah.
So did I. And he would do this thing where he would say, in a scout, he'd be like, he could be the MVP for us or he could be the MVP for them. Basically saying like, you're their
hot or cold.
Yes,
yeah.
You're their X factor. Mm-hmm. And he like, I don't even remember what it was, but he threw like a couple jabs in a film session of like, see what I'm saying? And of course, karma came back around and this man, 30 ball, didn't miss a shot. I'm like, yo.
It was so funny because of talking to JP about it, like obviously playing with Golden State, and we would joke about it. He'd be like, bro, telling him, don't stop behind the screen. And first shot I had was like, Mikhail, DHO, stop. And I just stopped right behind and shoot. And he was like, man, I knew it was going to be alone after that.
I mean, we all knew Donte was obviously a problem, but like there was so much that you had to prepare for.
It was Jalen, Mikhail, Amari. Like I was an afterthought.
I mean, not after that, but it was, you guys were just, the way you played in college, you were an anomaly. Like the pace that you played with, the space, the shooting, all five guys could shoot. All five guys could do everything, pass, score, everything. So it was a handful, right? Like it was actually, when I went back and watched the highlights, it was actually closer than I thought.
Yeah.
Because in the moment,
loud buckets,
it felt like we were getting blown out. Yeah. But we were like, 10 in the second half. It was like, which in college is like down 20 realistically. But yeah, man.
Did you guys have any close, that whole run? Were any of the games that close?
Our closest game was West Virginia. We were a little nervous in that game. They had Javon Carter, big dude, I forget his name, but big strong dude.
No, I don't remember.
I forget his name, but him and Amari, it's strong as hell. Him and Amari were just going at it down low. I was like, I'm gonna stay out here, shoot these threes. Yeah. But I think what changed for us, what made us very interesting is we got to post our smallest guy on the court. Like it wasn't like, hey, guards go around Amari in the post. It was, hey, everybody go around Jalen in the post. So you have to send help or Jalen's going one-on-one.
And he can pass.
I mean?
Like he's such a good passer and creator.
What point with him did you realize how good, just how good he is in general, but also like the footwork in particular, like his ability to do this at that size?
I'm no kidding. Like he's had the exact same game in footworks ever since I've known him. Like honestly, like going in, even like AAU and stuff, like you see like all the mixtapes and stuff, but like playing one-on-one and playing stuff like after, at night with him one-on-one and working on stuff, and bro, his footwork's insane. And he's not the fastest. He can't jump the highest, but he's going to get to his spot and he's going to get the shot that he wants. He's not going to take the shot that you give him. He's going to get exactly what he wants. And I don't know how the hell he does it. Cause like I best friend or not, I'm watching him like, how the hell does he get some of this stuff off? And you try to like, watch guys, you try to take everything from him. Like the one thing I love that he does is, what a lot of guys do is like the rip through and all that stuff. Like you're thinking he's going left and all of a sudden rip through going right. DeMar does it incredibly well. Like he takes stuff from guys too, but I think, the footwork is something he's always had.
It's interesting watching how much his game has seemingly from the outside changed from Dallas to New York. But I think everybody that has played against him, like when we played against him in college, we all knew he had this ability. And it kind of ties back into the conversation we were having earlier around having this freedom to try things. And all of a sudden now he's playing this style, he's doing these things, he's drawing fouls, he's, pivoting and doing all this stuff that maybe he wasn't doing in Dallas, but it didn't mean that he couldn't do it. Mm-mm. And as a player, there's like an art component to it where like you find how you can become the best version of yourself within, the environment. And obviously he kind of was given the keys a little bit in terms of giving the ball, but there's been a lot of guys that have been given the keys and they don't necessarily do it efficiently and effectively.
That's that moment like you see, the first year, him and Julius playing alongside each other and then going into last year. But then when Julius went out, there's really no other, 1-2. It's like, you're going to carry this load, Jalen, and, you got to do everything you got to do. And he still, I had a career year. It wasn't just me. It was all the attention on him and being able to, and he had all that attention and I get 20 and you look up, like, damn, Jalen had 35 tonight? Like,
yeah,
it's hard to do, bro.
I remember it's before you got there when you guys beat them in the playoffs. I think Kevin definitely said it. I don't know if you were on the text or not, but he just said about Jalen, like he knew how good he was. He's like, until that series, he's like, I had no idea. He's like that he can just do whatever he wants, and like he's played with he's not going to say that lightly. He's literally just like the guy could do whatever he wants in the court at all times.
Yeah, it's it's having the, like you said, you play free and you have the ability, and you're gonna. There's one like you're gonna play 40. Like you can play through mistakes. Like it takes your confidence to a new level, but that's not the end all be all. You have to be able to produce, and he has the confidence and able to produce with the confidence.
Yeah, it's the motor for me, man. Like in that series, I remember just the way he relentlessly attacks. Like he'll drive, get cut off, pop back, drive, get cut off, pop back, throw his head back, hit it 3 times. Like, and if you're guarding him, you're making 10 efforts on a given possession, and eventually, like the first 9, you might do all right, but like eventually he's gonna find his little window,
and he's gonna get to that free throw line.
Yes,
he is going to get to that free throw line.
Who do you guys think? And not like this is not the complete list, but just when in your mind when you're talking about playing free right now, like consistently, like you got this team tomorrow, you sort of know you're gonna get that. I feel like we obviously know you have a guy in your team who's like that, but are there other people who come to mind in terms of just like as you look at the schedule this year, they fall into that lane?
Shea.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude is cold.
Yeah. I think Steph will always be the example of like, for me, playing free, because he'll try anything. You know what I mean? He'll shoot it from anywhere.
Yeah.
Which I think that's like, but Shea
and Buddy's playing free. He's free as Buddy right now. Buddy's hooping. And then, like I said, confidence is a hell of a thing.
Hell of a drug, man. Confidence.
You Steph dancing with you and everything. Like Steph danced for me once or twice. Like that is a good feeling.
Buddy almost did it to you guys in the play. He did do it to you guys.
Buddy
in the playoffs.
wasn't playing, and he came in that last game. I was like, man, we got to win, because if we don't win, I'm gonna be on this film every clip. every clip because Buddy doesn't stop moving. And like I said, like you go to a place that you can thrive in that chaos. Like he's in the perfect situation right now for him.
Yeah, he's a great example of, you look at, he gets acquired by Philly at the deadline, and I remember talking to him after one of our games, and he was struggling. He was disappointed in opportunity and this, and there wasn't maybe totally the right fit or chance for him to be himself. And then you see like the flip side of that in Golden State and what he's doing, and just being able to go out there and play to that level of freedom and let that thing fly.
It's also not easy. You've been with Miami your whole career, right?
Yeah.
It's not easy to get traded at the deadline. And I mean, like he went to a contending team.
Right.
Like it's not easy to come in and just say, all right, buddy, you've done this your whole career. Come in here first day and do it right away.
Yeah.
It's not easy, bro. It takes time. So like now you had a whole training camp with Golden State. You have, summer to play with these guys. It's a different ballgame when you have time to mesh and gel.
What do you guys think? What do you think about this whole just the 3-point discussion in general? The thing about the Celtics are obviously shooting like 51 or 52 a game, and so now there's this conversation about, is this good for the league that every team is just trying to get up as many jacks as possible and make it basically everyone copy the Celtics, make it a numbers game where everybody wants to do this? Is this a thing that like you as shooters you actually notice, or it feels like it's more of like a media thing?
I don't feel it as much in a game. You'll notice some bad teams take just some bad shots, but you'll see the good teams, they'll take a bad shot and you'll see the coach like timeout right away. But I don't feel it. I don't know if you do.
I mean, I think that if you're just a team and you're like, all right, Celtics are shooting 50, we got to shoot 50. It's more like the good teams find a way to do it from like a process-driven standpoint, where it's not like, and the bad teams on the flip side will just go out and be like, all right, let's just try to get to 50. Like,
yeah, and that's the thing. Come off pick and roll, just shoot the first one. Like,
right.
Let's get downhill, let's kick, let's drive, let's kick. Now second, third side, you're getting a wide open three. Okay, you get 50 of those, or transition kick ahead. You might take some, but to Boston, you have how many guys that can take you one-on-one and just do it themselves? Like,
yeah. And the other piece of that is, when they're playing to that level and with that intention over what shots they're getting, if you're shooting low 30s, just mathematically, like you're probably not going to score enough. Like if they're coming down and they're shooting threes, layups, free throws, a lot of that mid-range stuff they've taken out, maybe outside of like late in games. But if you're shooting 32 of them as a team and you're shooting middies and you're, not getting to the free throw line, you're just not going to be able to score enough to beat them. So there is some of that where like they are driving it a little bit, because you got to shoot them to beat them. Like it doesn't mean you have to shoot with them or as many as them. It's this blend, right? But you got to make threes. Otherwise you're trading threes for twos the whole game.
And you get to that free throw line. Free throw line changes everything.
Yeah.
It slows the game down and, lets guys get their rhythm. You might see, Jalen or Jason Tatum miss 3-4 in a row and then all of a sudden make 4 free throws and then make 3 threes in a row. It's just getting to the free throw line changes everything.
Yes, sir. Well, we got a big day tomorrow. Donte and I are facing off
the
matchup everyone's talking about. Duncan versus Donte. So I'm gonna go get some rest, get some treatment, maybe find some good eats here in Minnesota. But
underrated, I will say.
I've heard that.
Underrated.
What's your favorite spot so far?
I haven't tried many, but Billy's Sushi is a go-to for us right now.
Talking sushi in Minnesota, man.
This is his thing.
I'm telling you, underrated.
I don't go to sushi restaurants where there is not water.
Trust me.
Within at least striking distance.
Duncan is extremely judging
we got
food
lakes.
critics.
I'm not judging.
Extremely judging
sushi.
If you go to Miami and you don't say the right place to him, he'll give you not only.
See, that's what happens when you like get spoiled in Miami, bougie. Like that's what happens.
Here's my thing with food in Miami is that I don't judge you. It just tells me something about you.
So me saying sushi in Minnesota.
No.
You're good.
That's the definition of judging.
I'm saying if you come to me, I'm like, hey, what restaurants like Miami? Like, Komodo's fire. Like I go to Gecko. That's cool. I hope you have a great time at those places. I still like you, but it tells me something about you.
What is like a spot? What are like spots in Miami that you?
Hey man, I got
solid.
you, bro. I don't want to put him.
He's trying to not blow him up.
I don't want to blow him up, man.
I don't want to say the wrong thing
I'll
about myself when I go.
Like I said, there's no judgment. It's no judgment.
Just don't name a place that you've ever heard anyone else bring up, or it's going to be the wrong place.
So it's like I go like, hey, I'm going to Nobu. It's like, this guy.
It's just like Miami has. It does. It really does. And also, they also blend this like this food experience thing where it's like, am I going to the club or am I going to dinner? I don't really know sometimes.
That's a fair point.
So it's like, a fair point. For me, there are actually some places where if you want to do that, they actually still have decent food. But for me, it's like I'd rather go eat some good food.
This happened to us like 2 weeks ago because we were going to have breakfast. And I like named a place by where we
Turns
both
out to
were.
Be like a brunch.
He was visibly disgusted. Like scoffed. Literally, I was like, no, we need to go to this place. It was in a strip mall. By the way, amazing call. Amazing call. I respect it, but I just say that is bougie. Like you are judging.
So what I've learned from this podcast is Duncan Robinson is bougie.
He knows his food.
He knows his food.
I'd like to reframe the conversation to particular. I'm not bougie. I'm particular about where I like to eat.
I'll let him know.
But anyways, Donte, thank you for joining us. We know you don't do a lot of podcasts, so this was a special appearance.
We're going to do another one in Miami, and whenever you guys play in Miami,
we're
going to check back in.
Round 2 of the matchup. We'll be able to recap.
But only if we win tomorrow. That's it. That's the rule.
I appreciate you, bro.
Thank you, brother.